Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Monday, June 6, 2022. Another wonderful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So make sure you focus on all the things that give you peace and joy by simply just focusing on what is good. If you are out there traveling about, make sure you are keeping yourself safe. The COVID numbers are still going up in certain places, so please wear your mask when you need to. Keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. We all have to do our part to stay safe because it's no joke. It is no joke. I always remind you of that because I care. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. I thank you so much for your donations and your support. Well, I haven't been doing any episodes over the last week and a half, but I do have an inspirational quote for you today. You know how it is. Life happens and you just get busy with some things. But like I said, I do have an inspirational quote for you today. And the inspirational quote is, diminish the old you to become something different and new. Progression represents healing. This morning I was thinking about that quote and I posted it on social media, and after I posted it, I started thinking about it in terms of how when you don't do the work, it's almost like living in the past instead of the new. Unfortunately, everybody's not working on themselves. And sadly, when we don't do that, in my opinion, that's a lack of self-love, because we should work on ourselves. We should diminish the old parts. We should go forward and become something different and new. All of us have gifts and talents, and the more we learn about ourselves, the better we become. As long as we're on this earth, we're always going to be learning something new. None of us have arrived. None of us. So that is why it is so important to work on becoming the new you every single day. Somebody asked me once, they said, well, how do you take steps forward to work on yourself and become new? Well, I would say it starts first with how you think, because how you think determines how you're going to react, how you're going to respond, how you're going to speak. Your mind is the whole you. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As simple as that. So, if you change the way you think, then what happens is you start to become according to how you think. It's simple to expose yourself to information and self-help books and television shows that inspire you, podcasts that inspire you. It's important that you feed your spirit every single day. Just like we drink water and we eat food, well, guess what? Your spirit has to be nourished as well. And so to become something new, to be something new, to do something better, we have to change how we think. If you know anybody, I'm sure that you could think of somebody right now. If you know anybody that has been the same for the last 15, 20 years, no growth, no change. I'm not being critical by saying this, but I'm just trying to give you an example. If you know somebody that hasn't changed in the last 15 years, that means they're not growing. And that's not good. So that's why it's so important to encourage and inspire people to do something new and to think about something better, to be something better, because we all have gifts and talents. We all have the ability to be better. And when we do the work day by day, we become the thing we want to see, whatever that is, because all of us are so different. But we have a mandate. We have a mandate by God to do the work on ourselves to be better. Well, God is working on all of us, point blank, but we have to do our part. We have to do our part by how we think. We have to do our part by what we expose ourselves to. All of us come from different circumstances and situations because there is no perfect family in the earth. And that being said, we all have to stay on the path of healing. I think it is vital to wake up in the morning with a mindset of, I'm working on myself today to be a better woman. I'm working on myself today to be a better person. We have to wake up with that mindset. If we project that and we think that way, what happens is we become more conscious of our actions. It is so important to do the work on ourselves every single day by how we think, by what we read, by what we watch. And when I say watch, I'm talking about TV. I'm talking about what we expose ourselves to. We have to be conscious of what we take in because our spirit has to be nourished just like our body has to be nourished. Our body has to be nourished with food and water. Our spirit has to be nourished with the things that give us life in our spirit. So if you're listening to a podcast like this, or if you're listening to music, or you're watching a show that just gives you inspiration and encouragement and motivation, and it makes you feel good about yourself, the moment you start feeling good, you just fed your spirit. So do the work. Be encouraged to do the work, because generationally, you don't want to be like something negative from something in your past, like somebody in your family from your past, if that makes sense to you. We all have a mandate by God to do the work as He does the work on us. And as long as we are in the earth, we have to do the work. As long as we are here interacting with one another, we must take account for our actions and do the work. As parents, we have to do the work. Growing with our children, we have to do the work. For those of you that are married, you have to do the work. Growing in your relationship, married, doing the work. The minute we stop doing the work is the minute we become inadequate. Because you don't want to live according to your past. You want to live according to something different and new. So the quote says, I'm going to read it again. It says, diminish the old you to become something different and new. Progression represents healing. As you progress every single day, doing the work on you, everything about you will reflect healing. Now, I'm not talking about being perfect, because we all, as long as we're here, we will never be perfect. But you can do the work so that you can represent the thing that exemplifies healing. For those that make excuses not to change, you know how some people say, oh, well, that's just who they are and they're never going to change. Guess what? We all have the ability to change. We all have the ability to be something better than what we were yesterday. It's a simple choice. It's a act of free will, because God has given us all free will. I don't care if you 80 years old. You still can change. And I say 80 years old because, some people say, well, they're just set in their ways. Well, when a person is set in their ways, yeah, they if you say that they are set in their ways, sometimes in some cases, if a person is thinking that long enough, they will start to think, yeah, I'm just set in my ways. But guess what? Because a person is still here on the earth and they desire to do something different, they can do something different to change. Why? Because God has given us the ability to change. And I hope that makes sense to you, me using a 80-year-old as an example. Well, I hope that this inspirational quote gave you something to think about, because it gave me something to think about today. And I'm reminded to continue to make sure that I keep healthy thoughts. I'm reminded to make sure that I'm aware of myself and what I reflect in terms of my conduct. And I'm not talking about, like I said, trying to be a perfectionist, because sometimes when you have these type of conversations and topics with different people, they go into this perfectionist mode, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing the work every single day to be a better you, to be a more better you, a more excellent you, a you that represents the love that's inside of you, because the love of God is inside of all of us, and we must reflect that in how we treat one another. So I hope that you are encouraged and inspired by something that I said, because that is the intent of this podcast. I always think about just helping people to think better about life and about themselves, because that's important to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. I will have more episodes and more inspirational quotes this week, because I took up too much time last week. So I promise I will have more this week. So I hope that you are encouraged and motivated. And remember, keep doing the work. Keep seeking and gravitating to living a quality-filled life. And everything that you do, be an asset and not a liability to the next person. And love, because guess what? Life is too short. People are leaving here. And make sure you make every moment count for something that brings light. So thank you again for listening to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SB Favor. I also have a TikTok handle. There is motivational and inspirational content there. And make sure that you click like, subscribe to me on YouTube, leave me some feedback. And if you listen to me on any other podcast media outlet, please subscribe to me there as well. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Audible. I'm on all of those. So make sure you subscribe there as well. Thanks again for listening and tuning in. And once again, I want to remind you, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. Thank you so much for your support. And like I said, y'all, I will be recording more episodes this week, because I've been taking some time off, and I know some of y'all noticed it. So thank you again for listening. You have a good day.